Horizontal lines have a slope of 0, as we've seen in our lesson on slope. And in this case, because the slope is 0, the y-coordinate is not changing. So since the y-coordinate doesn't change, we don't care what the x-coordinate is in our equation. So our equation can just be y equals whatever that y-coordinate is. And I used b because in this case it will actually be our y-intercept. The other easy example is when we have vertical lines. Here the slope is undefined, so the x-coordinate doesn't change. Now it's important that you learn to recognize these because, as we'll see later, you cannot use either of our other two methods or other two forms to find this equation. You have to recognize it as a vertical line, and remember your equation is simply x equals a. And a is just the x-coordinate of the points that you know. So let's look at a couple examples of these. We're going to find the equation of the line through the points 2, -3 and 5, -3. You'll notice I sketched it. I sketched the other two as well. And it's a good idea to do this because you can very easily see these two special cases if you always sketch it. Now, if we want, we could go ahead and find the slope. We rise 0 and run 2, and we recognize the slope is 0, and hopefully at that point, at least, we recognize this is a horizontal line. We could actually use point-slope form, as you see here. If I used the point 5, -3, plug a 5 in there, a -3 in there for y1, and I plugged in 0 for my slope, I could do that. If we recognize that both y-coordinates are -3, we can simply write down the equation y equals -3. Another example here with a vertical line, we're going to find the equation of the line through the points 5, -3 and 5, 4. Again, you see how sketching it helps us to see very easily that it is a vertical line. If you didn't happen to sketch it or you didn't notice that, when you went to find the slope with a rise of 7 and a run of 0, and you got an undefined slope, hopefully at that point you should recognize that it is a vertical line. Now notice with this, if you try to use point-slope form, you're plugging in undefined for m, and that's impossible. That's not a number. You can't do that. So we have to have a better way. We have to recognize that both x-coordinates are 5, and therefore we can write down our equation x equals 5. Now that we've seen a few examples, why don't you try some yourself? Remember, find a point in the slope, then plug it in and simplify. And don't forget your forms.